and this is my rendition of Paul Bunyan and his big blue ox Babe. Paul Bunyan was around when America was new, when the forests were full of tall trees and people were settling America. Paul Bunyan was 2 stories high, and he was able to look down from the tallest tree on an eagle's nest. When he yawned, it would blow down villages miles away. He drank a whole river to quench his thirst. He would brush his beard with a tree sapling. He would break a tree in 2 to use as a toothpick. And when he said, "Timber," you could hear it miles away. Now, Paul Bunyan, by 2 weeks old, outgrew his crib. And his ma said, "Where is my son going to sleep?" His pa said, "I have an idea." So they went to the main harbor, strapped him in a boat, and he went fast asleep with the lulling tide. That is, until midnight, when he cried for his bottle, and his moving and crying flooded out 6 villages down the river in Maine. So his parents pulled him back into shore. His mom said, "Where is he going to sleep?" Pa said, "I have an idea." So they went to the forest. And his pa built a house 3 stories high, built like a barn. And that worked. Paul didn't outgrow the house. But he wasn't in there for long. He loved to be outside with the trees and nature. He worked in his father's lumber mill. And he could cut down a forest in 1 week. Now, one season in Maine, the winter was so bad that it never went away. And the snow got so high that they had to build an elevator to get from the bottom to the top of the snowdrifts. Now, one night, while everybody was under 40 blankets, Paul Bunyan heard a moaning, sad sound like a kitty cat wants milk or a baby crying. So he said, "That's not right. Something's wrong. I can't stay in here in the warm cabin." So he gets his big boots on, goes outside. He sees the snow after he takes the elevator up, up, up to the top. He sees the snow is blue, and he hears the moaning, the sad moaning. "Moo, moo. Where are you?" he bellowed. "Where are you?" So he sees something sticking out of the snow, pulls it up, and it's a baby ox, frozen and blue, except for his mouth where he's making the moaning sound. So tucks the ox under his arm, carries him back to the barn. The baby ox was hungry, so he makes a bottle out of a bathtub. And while that baby ox sitting in his lap, drinking the milk, it reminded Paul of a baby. So he named the ox Babe. Now, Paul, with the help of Babe, was ready to set off on his own. So he tells his dad, "Dad, I'm going to go set off on my own and make my own lumber camp." So him and Babe start walking from Maine. And in 2 days, he ends up in Minnesota by the Onion River. So he sets up a camp with the biggest and strongest lumberjacks. And he clears the forest for settlers and farmers to live there. Now, the only thing is, there were a lot of stumps. The farmers were complaining about the stumps. Well, how are we going to get rid of the stumps? Paul said. One of the lumberjacks said, well, you know how Babe doesn't like to get his hooves wet. So Paul puts the tip of his foot on the corner of Lake Superior and dumps the water out. Babe comes. He doesn't like the water, so he stomps on the stumps, and the stumps are gone. Now, the only thing is, some of those water areas didn't clear up, and that is why, and they stayed wet, and that is why Minnesota is called the state of 10,000 lakes. Now, after a while, Paul decides to go west. He gets a job in Colorado. So he hooks up Babe, hooks up a chain, drags a whole camp over to Colorado. Now, unfortunately, they're going there when it's hot. People are complaining about water and food. Well, Paul Bunyan buys a silo full of corn for food, but the heat makes the corn pop, and it looks like snow. So there's no more complaints. Everybody gets cold, and they keep on going. Now, for years and years, Paul and Babe stayed out west, cutting forests down in California, in Oregon, Washington, to help. So whatever settlers needed land cleared, he was there. After years and years of working, Paul and Babe walk off into the north, never to be seen. But people say, on a clear night, you can hear him say, "Timber!" And it sounds like lightning. That's my rendition of Paul Bunyan and his big blue ox Babe.